You are listening to Thinner Peace and Menopause and Beyond with Dr. Deb Butler. This is episode number 271. Welcome to Thinner Peace and Menopause and Beyond. This is Dr. Deb Butler, Master Life and Weight Coach, and as always, your coach. If you're a woman and you're smart and you're successful and you've been struggling with weight your whole life, and now menopause is making it harder than ever, and you are ready to make this the last time you ever have to go on a diet again, then this podcast is for you. Stay tuned. Hello, my dear friends, my dear friends. I think of all of you like that. There's so many of you out there listening, and I know I don't know all of you, but I feel like I do. I get so many letters from you, and I have so many sessions with so many of you, and really have a good understanding of what you're needing, what you want. And I hope I'm delivering. And if I'm not, then you really need to email me at drdeb@drdebbutler.com and tell me what you want that you don't think I'm delivering, or what you'd like to know that maybe I haven't included. Because I would love to be able to keep you informed as much as possible, because I do think that my podcasts and my tools and my process are amazing. And I know many of you think that, and it's helping many of you. And it's a pleasure for me to do it for you for free, to just get this information out. And by all the reviews that I get, it sounds like I'm doing a pretty good job. Maybe not from all of you, but many of you. I don't know that I can please everybody. And that's okay. But today, what I want to talk to you about is one of my clients. I just did an episode with her on episode number 268. And it was the transformation story on Teresa. And I got so many aha moments from her when I did the podcast with her. And also, as I was going through my process with her, she is a mover and a shaker. And if you don't know that when you listen to her, you can probably tell. But being a mover and a shaker and a doer, and being available to everybody all the time, and being able to solve everybody's problems, she kind of took it upon herself for most of her life to do that and to be that way. And she's also had an issue with what goes in her mouth and her body and her weight for probably just as long. So as we were going through this process and this program and these tools, one of the things that she said to me as we were ending the program, and what she said to me on the podcast, is she said, I think that you have come up, that you are teaching what the root cause is of weight gain in menopause. And she said, and I know when I hired you, I believed that it was all about my weight. And I really just wanted to lose weight, as all of you at some level do. But you also know that you want something else, and you want something more, and you want something different. And what she said in the transformation video itself, which you can watch by going to the website, or all you have to do is, if you want to go to the show notes, is just go to drdebbutler.com/271, and her transformation video link will be there, and all the things that I'm talking about today will be there. And I think it's really informative to look at these notes, because a lot of times you can't remember everything that I say. And these show notes basically repeat everything that I say and keep it pretty simple, that will help you remember what you've heard. But with Teresa, I guess the thing that stood out the most is when she said, I now know what the root cause of my weight problem was. And she feels like it has been so transformational for her that she wanted to do the video with me and the podcast interview with me. And I just want to share with you what she thought the root cause was and how it affected her so greatly. So I'm going to put a drum roll, please. The root cause of weight gain and menopause is, and first of all, I'm going to tell you what it's not. It's not what you put in your mouth or what you should be eating or what you shouldn't be eating. And that's kind of a relief for all of you. The root cause, according to Teresa, and I totally agree with her with the hundreds of clients that I've worked with, is that the root cause of weight gain in menopausal women is this inability to be able to put yourself first, to even believe that you are worthy of being put first, being number one on your priority list, to be on your calendar first, to put your needs above everybody else's needs. And I know as I say that, some of you are probably feeling some odd vibrations in your body of discomfort. And that is because really for most of our lives, my life, your life, our culture teaches that as a woman, that's what we're supposed to do. And, by nature, we are caretakers. I think we are born with a lot of emotion and feeling. And I think it's to work for us. And somehow we are taught in a way that we use it against ourselves, that we should not take our own needs into consideration, that we should put ourselves at the end of the list. In other words, like if you have time after you're through with everything, then maybe you can fit yourself in. And this is what Teresa realized as she was working with me, is that it's the exact opposite. That what she was doing is she believed that what she was supposed to be doing was to be a fix-it for everybody. And she's really good at that. That's the thing, is she's smart, she's brilliant, she's successful. So she can solve a lot of problems for a lot of people. And it made her feel good to be able to do that, regardless if it's in her business, if it's in her marriage, if it's with her children, if it's with her friends. And yet, what she was finding is that she was never calm. She was never peaceful. She was always frantic inside of her, always feeling frantic and overwhelmed and thinking that that's a natural state of being for her. And when we started working together, one of the main things that we talk about in the beginning of the program, one of the things that you and I have talked about in my last podcast is I talked about the thinner piece process. So in the thinner piece process that I was using with Teresa, and the first phase is rethink, that's when we really look at how she's managing her mind, how she's managing her life, what she's thinking about things. And she had a lot of things come up in these first 6 weeks, circumstances that came up that showed me and her very clearly that when push came to shove, she would shove through anything and everything to get the job done, whatever the job was, if it was to help out her children, if it was to help out her husband, if it was to push through something in the job, she would push and shove through it. And she believed that that's what made her successful, was pushing and shoving. But as I teach on these podcasts and as I've talked to you, is that one of the things that I teach and talk about is how to become a body whisperer. And a body whisperer isn't just one who listens to their hunger scale, eating when you're hungry and stopping when you're full, the physical hunger of a -2 and the physical fullness of a +2, knowing that the hunger scale goes from a -10 to a +10. So you could wait until you're really hungry, like a -7 to eat, and you could overeat to a +7 if you weren't really connected and feeling your body. So the beginning of body whispering is understanding that connection of eating when you're ready to eat, which is a -2, and stopping when you're just lightly full at a +2. But a body whisper also means listening to other symptoms that are in your body. So it could be pain levels, it could be sleep levels, it could be emotional levels. And all of that goes from a whisper. You can think of it as a number if you're looking at a chart from a -10 to a +10, which is how I talk about physical hunger. But you could also be looking at it for any of these physical symptoms. So you could be looking at it as Teresa started looking at it for pain levels. Like -10 is the strongest pain you can have, and a +10 is feeling fantastic. And probably what she was doing is she was barreling through these strong negative numbers in her body of pain so she could let herself get to a really strong level of pain before she would back off. She would go through anything. She would never call in sick unless she was in the emergency room, like she had to be dying before she would give herself rest. I don't know. Are you like that? A lot of women that I work with who are very success, career oriented, like to push through and barrel through things, even though their body insists that they stop. And that's what I'm talking about when I talk about a body whisper, that you can give yourself rest when it's a light whisper of tiredness, like a -2 or a -3, or you could wait till you're a -9 and purely exhausted and drop down dead. Just drop into sleep because you're so tired. And what I talk about in all of my podcasts is how when you become the body whisperer, you pay attention to the whispers of your body. So you don't rest at a -8. You rest when it's a whisper. If you have pain, you rest when it's a whisper of pain. You calm it. You don't push through it. If you have knee pain and it's a light whisper of pain at a -2 or a -3, that's the time where you kind of lay low, not gear up and push through it. But most of my clients in the beginning are really good at pushing through all of these whispers. And then they end up using food as a way of feeling better as they're trying to muscle through everything, which is exactly what Teresa's case was for her, is that she was so tired and so overwhelmed and so frantic so much of the time that the way that she would try to calm herself down is by overeating or drinking or too much joy eating. Not mindful joy eating and not eating when you're hungry and stopping when you're full with fuel food, but just overdoing it because she was overdoing it. And she was just using food as the way to try to make herself feel better, which really in reality did not make herself feel better. It only made herself feel worse and made her think that she couldn't control herself around food and that weight was her problem. But as she said in her video, and as I'm relaying to you now, the root cause for her was not what she was putting in her mouth. That was the symptom of not being the body whisperer to her body and not giving herself the attention that she needed. She was ignoring it and then wondering why she couldn't control herself around food, when basically that's what she was doing to try to relax. When really the only way to really relax is when your body is not calm, when it's frantic, when you're feeling overwhelmed because you're thinking that you have all of this to do, when you're thinking that it's your job to fix it, when you're thinking that you're the only one that can do this. These were all of her thoughts that created these strong feelings of that she was the only one that could do it, and overwhelmed because she was giving herself so much to do. And the only thing that she wasn't really doing was paying attention to her own signals, to her own body. She was paying attention to what everybody else needed and to what everybody else wanted. And she thinks that's what was helping her feel better about herself, even though she was not feeling good. So the root cause for her of this weight gain during this period of menopause and even before the pattern was that she was so used to barreling through everything, pummeling through everything and ignoring herself, that's how she gained weight. And the only way that she could lose weight, of course, you understand the scenario, is you put yourself on some strict diet and you pummel through that too. And that's what she wasn't willing to do anymore when she hired me. She said, I want to get to the root cause. And now she told me, and she told you, that the root cause for her and for many of you is that you have to learn how to put yourself first. And when you can learn to put yourself first without guilt, you will create this calm, peaceful feeling inside of yourself. And it's so funny when I think about this interview that I did with her, because even then on our call, she says, you know what? Since I've been coaching with you, I feel like I'm on vacation all the time, right? Because when you're on vacation, you feel calm and peaceful. Well, many of you do. And she said, I don't have to go on vacation anymore to feel calm and peaceful. I just have to manage my mind and make sure that I'm taking care of myself first. And when my needs are met, I feel calm and peaceful. I actually feel more available to try to take care of somebody else too. But I also know that I'm taken care of first. And that peaceful, calm feeling doesn't come from vacation anymore. It comes from my mind. And that is always available to her. And it's always available to you, of how you manage your mind, how you think about the people in your life, the things that you do, your job, and how you think about yourself, right? I really want you to think about that this week and go back and listen to Teresa's transformation story if you haven't heard it yet, because it is transformational, where she talks about she feels like she's on vacation all the time because she knows how to think right, and that she understands that if she's putting something in her mouth and she's not hungry, she knows that the problem isn't what she's putting in her mouth, but why she's putting it in there and what she's trying to feel from the food, when she can give herself that feeling of calm and peace by taking care of herself first, putting her needs first, like she's always done for her children, like you probably have always done for your children if you have them. But children are a wonderful example of how we take care of them first before ourselves, right? What we want to do is to think of ourselves as our most beloved, because whatever it is that we love, we take care of the best. And so it becomes, you love yourself, you feel worth being taken care of by yourself, you feel that worthiness which you were born with, you relate to it again, and then it becomes transformational to your whole life. Like Teresa said, everybody says, what's the matter with you? Are you taking something? Why are you so peaceful? Why are you so calm? Right? She's changed. And the reason that she's changed is because she's learned how to manage her mind. She's learned by this whole idea of her first. And then it's not selfish at all. And that's what she's learned. There's no guilt involved. And in the beginning, there was guilt involved. She thought that if she did that, that she was doing something wrong. She should never do that first. And we went a lot about that in our sessions in the beginning, about where that came from. We talked a lot about her past and about how she was raised with her dad and what happened. And I'm not going to, of course, get into all of that, but it was a big deal to her to notice that she was allowing her past to get in the way of her present moment. And through our coaching, she realized that it wasn't what actually happened to her. It was how she was thinking about it. And she realized through our coaching that she could think differently about what happened to her, which is exactly what she did. And that's exactly why she knows that she got to the root cause of her weight gain, and why she believes that you can get to the root cause of your weight gain too. So if this sounds interesting to you, you know what you can do. You can always book a mini session with me to find out more of how I can help you. Because in individual coaching, it really is a process, and it very much is customized. So I have a lot of specific tools that I use. How I use them, when I use them, and why I use them is very different with each individual client, as it was for Teresa. But she got just what she needed. So I'll never end a podcast without saying this to you, and I'm sure she said it in the video, and most of my clients do, is that they learned self-compassion. They learned how to be kind to themselves one of the ways that they do that is by learning to put themselves first. So, no matter where else you go today, or no matter what else you think, please, please, please be very, very, very kind to yourself, and I'll see you next week. Bye-bye. If you're loving my podcast and you would like some more information to be able to follow along with, then please go to drdebbutler.com/change, and you can get a free copy of my companion book that goes with this podcast that I refer to in many different episodes. That is drdebbutler.com/change, CHANGE.